Today's episode covers Europe's looming decision on gas engines after 2040, Stellantis weighing which brands to keep, the European Union's e-car plan moving forward, new EU rules targeting charging infrastructure, and supply shocks to critical materials for Tesla's budget ambitions. Welcome back to Autonews Daily. I'm Leah Morgan. Let's dive into today's headlines. Stellantis is signaling a period of hard choices as it considers which brands to retain in a crowded global portfolio. The automaker has grown through mergers and acquisitions into a company with many storied marques, and now executives are openly weighing how many of those brands make strategic sense going forward. That conversation reflects broader industry pressure to concentrate investments where they will best accelerate electrification, reduce complexity, and improve margins. This doesn't mean sudden retirements across the board, but it does underline a shift in priorities: platform consolidation, shared powertrains, and tighter capital allocation. Dealers, suppliers, and regional managers will be watching closely because any decision about brands flows straight through supply chains and market positioning. For consumers, the process can reshape which nameplates survive into the EV era and which may be folded into broader, more focused portfolios. Shifting to EU-level policy, the European Union's e-car plan is moving forward, and that will shape how automakers plan product lines and investments in Europe. The plan lays out regulatory aims to accelerate electric vehicle adoption and to create a clearer framework for manufacturers and infrastructure providers. For companies already planning large EV investments, the progression of this plan reduces some uncertainty and helps calibrate production and R&D timelines. At the same time, the plan raises practical questions about implementation: how fast incentives and standards will translate into consumer uptake, how used car markets will adapt, and how legacy internal combustion operations will be phased out or repurposed. For smaller manufacturers and suppliers, the plan's details will influence whether they can remain competitive or will need to seek partnerships and consolidation to meet new regulatory expectations. Closely related, the EU's new e-car regulation is targeting charging infrastructure as a keystone for wider EV adoption. Policymakers are focusing not only on vehicle emissions and sales targets, but also on the networks that must exist for electric cars to be a practical choice for everyday drivers. That means attention on fast charging rollout, interoperability between networks, and reducing bureaucratic barriers to installation. From an industry perspective, this kind of regulatory push can unlock private investment when it reduces permit risk and sets common standards, but it also raises the bar for operators who must meet stricter requirements. Grid capacity and planning become central topics. Rolling out DC fast chargers at scale requires coordination with utilities and local authorities. The regulation's success will depend on how effectively it translates high-level objectives into streamlined permitting, financing models, and technical standards that make charging as reliable and widespread as drivers expect. Turning now to the supply side of electrification, Tesla's hopes for more affordable models are bumping up against hard realities in critical materials. Reports indicate that shortages or supply constraints for materials used in batteries and other EV components are complicating plans for lower-cost vehicles. When critical inputs are scarce or expensive, it squeezes manufacturers' ability to deliver cars at targeted price points without compromising range, performance, or margins. This is not a Tesla-only problem. It's a structural supply chain challenge that ripples across the entire EV industry. Companies can pursue material substitution, recycling, and long-term contracts, but those strategies take time and capital. For consumers waiting on touted budget EVs, the material squeeze could mean slower rollouts or product compromises, while producers will face trade-offs between price, capability, and the sustainability of their supply chains. Please like and subscribe. It helps us keep bringing the news to you. And finally, the most watched development today. Europe is nearing a decision on whether gas engines will be allowed after 2040, a moment that could redefine the continent's automotive trajectory. Governments and regulators are confronting a policy crossroads, whether to enforce an outright phase-out of internal combustion engines or to allow certain combustion technologies to persist beyond 2040 under specific conditions. The outcome will have immediate implications for vehicle makers' long-term product planning, as well as for suppliers tied to internal combustion architectures. If the decision tightens limits on gas engines, manufacturers will accelerate investment in pure electric architectures and battery capacity, shifting R&D and manufacturing footprints accordingly. Conversely, any allowance for combustion engines beyond 2040, perhaps in hybrid or synthetic fuel configurations, would preserve some room for gradual transition strategies and technological diversity. For consumers, the decision affects future model availability, resale values, and the shape of fueling and charging infrastructure for decades. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow with the latest from the automotive world.